Can you see me? Okay, I'm just testing to make sure you can hear. Can you hear me? It hasn't started. It always takes a little bit of a while.
Same waiting for Kellie-Jay.
Should be.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Send me the notification.
Well, you get a notification. Loads of people don't get them.
Sometimes. Right, let me read the thingy.
Okay, can you hear me in the chat?
Yeah. Oh, fucking advert.
Oh, that's because I've monetized it. Sorry.
Oh, that's alright. That's cool. I was going to say, if they don't give you any money for that, it's me off.
Yeah, but it's about 2p.
Yeah.
It's about 2p. Hi.
From Oxford Publishing Union.
Oh, hi.
Went on the 9th of April.
Well, you can speak. You can speak and tell everyone.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
All right, you can do it.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Yeah, you can hear me. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It's pigging freezing, so thank you for waiting. If I run off, I think I had a bit of a dicky lobster last night, so yeah, if I run off, then that's me. So welcome to the post-USA trip. Speaker's Corner. I'm telling you, I'm not sure I planned for it to be quite so magnificent. Even if I do say so myself. I knew I was going to go to Atlanta, but obviously we didn't want to let anyone know just in case. And so the beauty of what happened in Atlanta wasn't even, I mean, that wasn't even going to be, I thought I was going to say something, right? I thought I was going to say he's a man, which I did. And I did the White House. We did a speaker's corner at the White House. I went on Tim Pool. What else did I do? Oh, did a little protest outside the UN with some amazing New York feminists. There's some pretty bonkers people. Let me just say the whole of Washington and New York smells like skunk weed. It just smells like foxweed everywhere. And then I did an event in New York where I spoke, and then we went down to Atlanta. And the beauty of what happened in that room, obviously just besides myself, but the weird thing about that room and why the thing that I did became so important and everyone was so ready for, is there was a whole room of people who knew the person getting in the pool was a bloke that showers with their daughters, a bloke that coaches. He was in the same hotel as me. He's absolutely enormous. I mean, he really is 6'4", and he doesn't look remotely female at all. Why would he? That's an impossibility. He doesn't look female. And anyway, everyone, the girls are quiet, and you see these girls, and they step up to their platform, whatever the starting thing's called in a pool, and they're patting their legs and they're slapping their arms and they're getting ready to do this race. And when they're racing a race that also requires stamina, they know, and everybody else knows in that room, they've got much less chance of winning because he's in the race. And I don't know if you've seen the pictures of him diving in the pool. It's just massive. He's just jumping all the way over. He's about 5 meters in before he's even in the water. He's about 5 meters over. And so as we're standing out with Save Women's Sports signs, and I'm there with my "that man is a cheat" t-shirt, the parents are like this. Thank you. All of them. Couple of students are like, toughs. But most people are like, thank you for what you're doing. There was a woman there, so Title IX in America enabled women to really participate in college sports. It gave women equal rights to sport in college in America, which is big damn business. And there were women there who were part of that initial fight, the first women to benefit from Title IX. And they were absolutely mortified about what was happening in this particular swim meet. So it's just such massive big business. You've got coaches, you've got people who are doing the 1, 2 at the end of the pool so the swimmers know where they're going. You've got about 5 cameramen with these huge, magnificent cameras. This is not, come on, John, do the width. This is massive business. These are those, and many people have said, why do those girls just refuse to swim? Well, whether they're privileged or not, and some of them won't be, some of them will be just extraordinarily talented who got scholarships. That's hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of dollars that they get to go to university. And then after that university, if they don't swim, they get off the team, they lose their scholarship, they lose their future job opportunities, they potentially lose any place at the Olympics. They lose what they see as their whole entire future. I don't see why any of us would ask that of them. And then on the other hand, many people have to make extraordinary personal sacrifices to change the world. And so I kind of understand why we might want to ask them, but I also understand why they would refuse to do it. So so all these people are walking in. You've got really confused kids across the way who cannot speak. You say to them, what is a woman? It's beautiful. She was about 5'10". This absolutely beautiful young makeup-free girl, knew she was a girl, and she looked like she was going to cry the whole time. She had like tears over in her eyes, and I just said, look, what is a woman? And she was like, and I was like, does it not frighten you that you can't answer? Because it really frightens me that you can't answer that. And it really should frighten you. I was like, does your mum know what a woman is? Does your dad know? Yeah, because he's a bigot. Honestly, it was very moving and very frightening to see just exactly through persistent indoctrination in schools, counsellors, therapists, and half America's in therapy, through their online peer pressure, that this girl, 18, 20, probably really academic, probably quite a brilliant young woman, could not answer, felt too afraid, couldn't find the words, couldn't even say a circle or anything. She just couldn't say it. And so that's why when I said he's a man twice, which didn't I mean, a few people was like, don't ruin the race. And I was like, I'm not going to ruin the race, but I am going to try and ruin something. I said he's a man twice, and then people the next day were like, and then I had that, and then that thing went viral. Let me just say, the person I was talking to was a woman. I didn't know at first because she had a mask on, and it's in the swimming pool, so I can't hear her testosterone-fueled, strangulated voice box. I can just hear what she's saying. And I said at one point, well, he's clearly a man. And she said, well, if he's a man, I'm a woman. And I went, oh, you're a woman then. Like, now we know who we're both talking to. You're a woman. And she often takes photos of herself topless with her very large scars to make her point. And so, who knew just a smart-ass little answer would take America by storm? But this is why. Everybody in that room, nobody can speak. If they talk to the media, if they do anything, they say anything, their daughters are off the team. The girls in the changing room, I spoke to a swimmer and she said, nobody mentions the fact that he's got his penis out in a changing room. Everyone's too afraid to look. Everyone's too afraid to even object, even quietly to each other. And so that's the impact. I do feel, and it's rather immodest, but I do kind of feel I helped break the silence somewhat. And then wasn't Don Ennis a gift? Now I knew who he was. I don't know if any of you had heard of him before, but he dresses like, so he was married. He decided he's changed his name from Don to Dawn, which is different in the UK. In America, it's exactly the same. Don. And he was a gift, right? So he looks like he looks. So he was married, he's got 3 children, which is why the Americans shouted, "You didn't give birth to your children, Don." That wasn't no woman who adopts is a mother. That's his particular children that he was talking about, he didn't give birth to. That's why she said it. But he'd been parading around with another guy who was enormous in all the ways, in a dress, trans flag, just scary. But I knew about him. So he's married, then his wife left him when he decided he was a woman. Then he said he had amnesia, his wife had forced him to do it, he was really a man. It's all documented. This is, you can look up the article. And then he came out when, I don't know whether his wife had died, his ex-wife had died, but he did insert himself into her obituary. But he does, his style is her, his hair is her. And the other people I was with sort of started saying, yeah, we've had such a great time. And I think that was supposed to make him feel not great. So I just thought, well, I'm gonna, it's the dog thing. I'm not a vet. I think they're dogs. I'm not an expert. I'm not a veterinarian. So he just, I don't know if you saw his expression, but if I said, could he be any more AGP? Really enjoying it, and I knew he was enjoying it. I knew he'd enjoy the attention, but the important thing was that I had a camera, and I wanted to show that actually we have to ensure that we say it loud, so these men can't pretend they didn't know, that we don't want them in our spaces, that somebody actually says, I know you're a man, stay out of our spaces, stay out of my daughter's spaces, stay out of all women's spaces, just stay out. And I hope that encourages people, not at personal risk, don't do it if you're in a public toilet on your own. This was in a corridor, and then the chap, who's getting bad press because he did stop, and then he started, as soon as that guy called me a dog, it's just such a theme of the week for me. As soon as that guy called me a dog, the really decent southern gentleman just stopped, and then he was like, come on, look, we're all people, but we are different, and I just don't want Leah racing with the women and the girls. So he was really decent, but that hasn't been put out because he doesn't really want his conversation shared, because his daughter is a swimmer. So I wanted to make sure everybody knew that he was a decent guy. Right, anyway, so this is why we are here. This is why we do this here, because we want all women to know at any time, any place, like a martini, we are allowed to say the truth as we see it. We do not have to look at the evidence presented in front of us and pretend we cannot see it for what it is. And I hope that my America trip showed that it's not just on YouTube that I do these things, but actually in the flesh, in real life, without fear. I will continue to speak to these men until they stay the hell out of our spaces, our rights, our conversations, and that we can get back to doing other business that women were doing long before this stupid, nonsensical, dogmatic, quasi-religious, transgender ideology came to shit all over everything we've got. Pardon my language, YouTube. I know I don't normally swear. Right, so this is your platform. I've got a bit of a dodgy little microphone, but I think, hello. I think it's working. So this is your time to speak. Anybody may speak. Would anybody like to? Come on. Thank you. It flops, but it's fine.
Okay, okay. Hello everyone, I'm coming from Oxford Feminist Union. Thank Thank you so much. You might have seen we've already had 2 public events. The first one was with Julie Bindle, Maya Forstater, Helen Joyce, Jane Claire Jones. Our second one was on women's health. We had some other amazing speakers like Hibbo and Dr. Jess Taylor, Anne Farady and Millie Hill. And we've got our next one coming up on the 9th of April in a super secret central Oxford location. Can I get a woo? And it's going to be on very topical women's rights in sports. And I don't need to tell you what we're going to be talking about. You already know what we're going to be talking about. But we're also going to be talking about some other issues that you might not have thought about, like how difficult it is to become an athlete, particularly for women, and all the barriers that they face. And as our speakers, I'll give you a leaflet if you're here in person. We have Dr. Emma Hilton. We have Fair Play for Women. And we have our lovely local Olympian athlete Mara, who's speaking as well, who's incredibly brave. It's been so difficult to find sports people willing to talk because of how vulnerable the job is. It's so reliant on sponsorships and stuff like that. And we also have a very special guest who's appearing by Zoom for us. So we're really looking forward to it. So if you can come, please do. Follow us on Twitter. We're being deboosted quite a lot. People keep saying, oh, we thought you'd stopped. We haven't seen you on Twitter for a while. No, we're there. We're just being deboosted like a lot of people are. And we'd love to see as many of you as possible in Oxford, 9th of April, for our 3rd event on women's sports. Thank you so much.
Come on, you lovely people. Who's speaking? Come on. Yes. Come to you next. Is that all right? It's a bit wobbly, but
Thank you.
I've just broken it.
Hi, I'm Here. Hi, I'm Kylie, and I was talking to my son. My son was talking to me the other day and saying, "Mum, why are you doing this anti-trans stuff? You're just really embarrassing yourself, and I really wish you wouldn't do it." And I think that you have to. He said, "Look, you've never even spoken to any trans people. If you speak to them, they're really nice." So I listened to him because I think you should listen to young people. And I have actually made friends with a trans woman called Tony. Antonia, Tony for short. And I brought her here to meet you. And I want you to have an open mind when you see her and listen to what she's got to say, because I think you might find that you'll really understand the general gist of what she's saying. So she's stunning. She's not very brave. She's hiding behind the tree over there. So I'm going to bring her out in a minute, and I want you just to wait 2 minutes while I just encourage her to come out. So just wait 2 minutes. Come on, Tony, come out. No, I'm really frightened. It's okay. It's okay. They won't hurt you. No, they're nasty. They're not. They want to hear what you've got to say. Look, I'll tell you what. That's size, mate. You can put it back. Yeah. Which on the side? Okay. Yes. Yeah. Hold on, I've just got to put on my... Yeah, thank you. Oh.
Someone's got the penis, he's a man. Someone's got the penis, he's a man. He's a man. Someone's got a penis. Someone's got a penis, he's a man. He's a man. He's a man.
Oh no, it's one last. Sorry, I'm not quite ready yet. Sorry. Yeah, can you just keep a song, keep singing, and she's gonna come out in a minute. Yeah, here it is. Sorry. That's what was missing.
The essential touch coming up.
Hello, I'm Tony. And is this working?
It is, yeah.
I'm Tony, and I want to. It's lovely to be here with you all. And I love you, and it's lovely all girls together, and I want to tell you about my journey. I know you want to hear it. I was 4 when I realised that I really was a woman in a boy's body. And as I grew up and a little bit older, I started wanking into my mum's pants. And not while she was wearing them. That would have been really odd, no. It just felt so right, you know. So. And then, you know, I finally, well, it was very ups and downs, a rocky road, ups and downs. A rocky road, which is my favourite biscuit, actually. But then, you know, unimaginable indignities I've had to suffer. I want to share them with you. I was actually in hospital, you know, having them done. And I overheard some nurses talking about me, and they actually misgendered me. Yeah, I know. And they called me he. So anyway, it wasn't their fault, you know, they're lovely women. I took them, one of them aside. You know, I had a chat with her and explained that, you know, a man can be a woman. You know, he just has to put something, a couple of footballs. And, you know, he is actually a woman then. So I don't blame them at all. I blame the hospital. You know, why can't they explain to their staff that if a man puts a couple of footballs in an XXL bra, then that makes him a woman? It's quite simple. I don't see why they're fussing about that. So what I want to share with you today is my new book that's just come out. It's called The Adventures of Mr. Penis. It's a children's book. It's a children's book, and actually Mary Black has agreed to come and read it with me. She's amazing, that woman. We wouldn't be where we are today without her. She's agreed to come with me to St. Crap's School in South London and to read it to the kids. And what a brilliant woman. So it's out already. I wrote this on the bus on the way here. But it's all, I've already got a publishing deal with Faber and Faber, and it'll be all good bookstores, Waterstones. And basically it's the adventures. He's no longer held back. There are no boundaries anymore. So he can go wherever he bloody well likes, and so he should, you know, in up and down, roundabout, in your changing rooms, in your competitions, in your rape crisis centres, everywhere. And why shouldn't he? And of course, what he likes, I haven't done all those drawings yet, but at the end, you know, his favourite place is amongst children, and then is so full of love for them that, you know, he just showers them with his love. So Mary. That song that goes, hey, I feel like a woman, do 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 do. And the steps go like this. And what I do, he does a few steps and I hold up a sign and he bends over like that. Right, and I just put that sign. It's got elements of sissy porn in it because I say, Mum, the children are never too young. They're never too young to know about this sort of stuff. And I hold up this sign to his ass, like that. And that's it. That is the end of the... That is the end. And I just want to say to everyone that, especially to Keir Starmer, if you want us to treat you with respect, then why don't you treat women with respect? A woman is not... I tell you what a woman is not, Keir Starmer. A woman is not a football. A woman is more than 2 footballs. Keir Starmer said, trans women are women. Trans women put less effort into their... Trans women are men. If you're annoyed about what he said, then I'm saying this to the women who are just watching now, just saying, then you have to come here and protest about it. And if you're worried about young women cutting off their breasts because they think that will make them men, and stuffing a pair of socks down their pants because they think that will make them men,
Yeah, it's a bit floppy, but it does work.
Hello everyone, my name is Aja. I normally do a but I've got and that believe in gender ideology. To the women protesting against groups like Women's Place UK, as we witnessed in Manchester a few days ago. To the women that think they're men. To the women that think us here today are transphobes, bigots, homophobes, racists, right-wing, Nazi turfs, etc. I'm speaking to you. First of all, look at me. Do I look like any of those things? Do I look like I would hang around with those people? I know you've been told that I am, and I do, but I'm asking you to think for yourself. As a child, I was a tomboy, which meant I was never into girls' things like dolls or pink. I refused to wear dresses and skirts. I played a lot of sports. Time. I got bullied loads in school because I was always a bit odd and shy and never fit in with any crowd, and I'm the same. It would put me in a box with 1,000 labels that described every aspect of my personality, when the only label that was needed was girl, or now woman. So please listen to my voice, because it comes from a place of understanding and love. You are our daughters, our granddaughters, our sisters, our nieces, our past, and whether you like it or not, we are your future. And that is why you've been taught to hate us. It is a trick of the patriarchy. And I know you won't believe me now, but one day you'll see it yourself, because there will come a day when you realize exactly what it means to be a woman in this world. It comes in many forms. Some terrible, like being assaulted by a man because he doesn't see you as anything more than something to use for his pleasure. Or the most amazing experience in your life, like growing a human being inside your body, giving birth to it, and nourishing it. And I say this as a woman who has never wanted children, will never have children. So don't come at me with your bioessentialist BS. Of course, I don't think that's all women are good for, but I know that's only women can do that amazing thing, and it is amazing, even though I choose not to do it myself. And let me just stop and say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out here today. Okay. Whatever it is that makes you woman up, so to speak, I promise it will happen. And guess what? We will be here for you. Maybe not these exact women, but the sisterhood will be here for you, as it has been here for women across the centuries. The suffragettes who battle for their right to vote and your right to vote are the sisterhood. The second wavers that got things like equal pay, the right to own your own property, the right to a credit card, the right to an abortion, the right to women's sports, they are the sisterhood. The women at Greenland Common who said no thank you to nuclear weapons. The women who had to fight to make it illegal for your husband to rape you. They are the sisterhood, and I bet there's some of them here today.
Yeah.
There we go, thank you. When a police officer raped and murdered Sarah Everard, you felt that pain because that was the patriarchy hurting us all, hurting the
being kidnapped at the border and trafficked into prostitution, and you feel that pain because it's an attack on us all, an attack on the sisterhood. The women here today, like Kellie-Jay, and women like J.K. Rowling, and all the rest of us, we are the sisterhood in its latest form. And the sisterhood is one of the strongest forces you will ever know. It is so strong it can change laws, change attitudes and culture. It will educate and empower, protect and provide, and give love and laughter and support and friendship. But it can never belong to men. And that's why they want to destroy it so much, because without the sisterhood, there's nothing to stop the patriarchy. The patriarchy has used many tricks to destroy the patriarchy, to destroy the sisterhood, like divide and conquer, old versus young. And the latest is to convince you that they, men, are us. They are not us. They will never be a part of the sisterhood. But you are. You have been since the day you were born, and you will be until the day you die. Which is why when you woman up, we will be here for you, because you are us.
Thank you. Just for those on the stream, my mic went all weird in my bag, so it's now no microphone, but stand a bit closer and then everyone can hear you. Elaine?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
I'm
get your
just,
mother t-shirt on my website.
I'm just undoing, so I've got my version.
Come on.
Right, hello everyone. In a way it's changing the atmosphere a bit. One of the first speakers at Kellie-Jay's wonderful tour of the States, in the White House, outside the White House, a woman named Jessica Gonzalez spoke, and she honoured Peggy Lewis. I'd like to do the same. Some of you will have heard of Peggy, who died 2 days before the war in Ukraine started, on the 22nd of the 2nd, 22. She actually spoke here at the first ever Speaker's Corner just before lockdown, and she also marched the day before in the Million Women Rights that's taking place a bit later in the year. And tragically, she found out that she had pancreatic cancer just very recently, a month before she died, and she actually died, as I said, on the 22nd of February. We're absolutely devastated, a lot of us, because we felt we knew her well. And I just want to, I mean, you can read a lot about her, but what I really would like to say is the last time I got up and spoke here, ironically, I was publicising Not Dead Yet by Spinifex Press, which you had to be over 70 to contribute to that book. Peggy wrote a brilliant chapter in that book, Still Here, Still Queer and Still Lesbian, I think it was called. And it's sort of really upsetting that she is the first person of us to actually die, but in our hearts and in our consciousness she is certainly not dead and won't be. And just to end, Chloe mentioned Mother's Day. She had a son, so I'd like to say in honour of her, happy Lesbian Mother's Day as well.
Else? Yes. Oh, Jan, sorry, and then you. Is that okay? So we're going to stand a bit closer to here, so you can be heard. Yeah.
Afternoon, everybody. Happy Mother's Day. As some of you know, the trans issue is morphing into a different issue. We are not going to get gender self-ID here. We've won a wonderful victory. We've got to keep on fighting about it. But a lot of the trans organisations are looking to move on to promoting exploiting our bodies in a different way via surrogacy. They don't call it that, of course. They call it fertility because that sounds all nice and generous and friendly. And that when an organisation asks women to be generous and friendly and altruistic, always turn over the coin because there is always another side. And of course, surrogacy, call it fertility, is all about exploiting our bodies to produce babies for men. I don't know if any of you saw the Daily Mail article last week. There's a huge rise in men on their own looking for surrogacy, planning to bring up a baby on their own. Now, I'm sure some of them will be up to that task, but I'm equally sure, having seen a lot of men on days out with their kids, that a lot of them are not up to that task. You may or may not be familiar with the case in Australia where a registered paedophile was allowed to go ahead and create a baby by surrogacy, and it only all came out afterwards. And the man in Japan who commissioned 16 babies by surrogacy because he wanted a big family. And the person that told me about this and said, oh, it was okay because he could pay for childcare. No, I'm sorry. Childcare is great. I've used it myself. Childcare is not parenting. A parent is someone who is Ukraine who have been born to surrogate women, and they say that the parents cannot get them. The parents cannot afford to keep them. They've usually got older children that they need to support them. That's why they're doing surrogacy in the first place. There's no NHS system in Ukraine, and it's very, very difficult to be a single parent there. So these babies are very unlikely to be collected anytime soon, and at this really important time when they should be bonding and learning to relax and knowing that all their needs are met, they're being in the situation that there aren't. So surrogacy all sounds lovely when you read about it in the paper with the picture of the happy smiling families. It actually violates the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child in 6 different ways. Children have got rights, even unborn children have got rights, and surrogacy, even at its best, violates the rights of the child to have contact with the people from whom it comes, to know where they come from, and various other ones, 6 different ways. It violates the rights of women in about 20 different ways. I won't go on too long, I'll be here all day. But mermaids are getting into helping gender female at birth. They're talking about registered female at birth. It's funny that they're not talking about trans children so much anymore. If you look at the front page of their website, they're talking about gender diverse children. It's a bit like Oxfam saying, oh, well, we don't talk about famine anymore. We talk about people wanting a snack. It's a bit like Amnesty saying we don't talk been naughty. You know, these are the whole foundations on which they built their movement and got their hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of funding. And now they're just gently stepping in and saying, oh no, we don't do that anymore. They are shams and they are fakes and they need to be exposed.
Here, here.
Thank you. So rather than going on all day, I will tell you that we at Subject are organising a conference on surrogacy. It's called Big Fertility on the 28th of May. And before you tell me, Jan, that's a bank holiday, people will be away, I am going to suggest that you all book yourselves a lovely feminist weekend. The wonderful Kellie-Jay is going to speak at our conference. We've got a midwife, we've got a professor of medicine. You can learn a lot more about all the horrendous effects it has that are not normally mentioned in press coverage. So I suggest that it'll be up on Eventbrite very soon, that you arrange to come to London for a lovely feminist weekend on the bank holiday. On the Saturday, that you come to our wonderful conference. And while you're here and in the pub afterwards, you all have a little chat and find places to stay that are not already full of Ukrainian refugees, as mine probably will be by then. And then on the Sunday, you meet with your sisters as normal. So it's not a bank holiday weekend, so you can't do it.
Right. Okay. So people in the chat complaining about wind. It's going really well. If you watch me on YouTube, this is frankly a breeze. Pardon the pun. Who else would like to speak? Yes, you're next. Thank you. I'll do that. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone. My name's Hannah Borelli. I'm British and Canadian, and I wanted to talk about the situation for women in Canada. I'm from Canada, but in a lot of ways I'm also from the future. I'm from what can happen to women and girls if we allow this to continue here in the UK. And I want to remind people, I think a lot of people in the UK strangely don't know this, that Canada is in the Commonwealth. We have a parliamentary system. We're culturally very similar. We were British North America until very recently. If it could happen there, it can absolutely happen here. It's something that we really have to be very thoughtful about and think about what can happen here if these sorts of laws pass. In Canada, there is Bill C-16, which puts gender identity into the Human Rights Code. So if you discriminate on the basis of welcome in a woman's space, you could be brought to a human rights tribunal and you could be fined. Children are being taught what's called a SOGI education in as young as kindergarten in grade 1, which stands for sexual orientation and gender identity, where they're taught if they do not conform to gender stereotypes, that means that they are born in the wrong body and they should be sterilized. This stuff is all throughout the third sector, it's all throughout the nonprofits, and it's in every layer of government. And it's very difficult when laws have been passed to repeal them. It's very difficult to move backwards. We really have to be proactive in preventing this from happening. And I wanted to say that I think ideologically, the basis of this is trans women are women. We really need to attack that as the fundamental thing, because if trans women are women, if a woman is just an idea in a man's head, if a woman is just a shallow performance of a gender stereotype, then what does it mean for the rest of us who don't conform? What does it mean for the rest of us who do not have the same kind of value to men? It's a very scary thing when we talk a lot about trans children. We don't talk about quote unquote trans children. We don't talk about the other girls in the room who are listening to this stuff, who are hearing that if you don't like Barbies, if you like sports, that you're not really a woman, that a woman is just kind of an idea, and that there is something pathologically wrong with you. And what that does to the psychology of the girl, what that does to her opportunities, what that does to her self-confidence. So I just wanted to say it's really important that we attack trans women or women. It's really thoughtful. We have to be really thoughtful and not get too cocky and think that we've beat this thing, because I could see how bad it can get. And thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Great. We're going to stand here still. Anybody else? Yes? I'm not going to speak as well. I think she might introduce herself if you don't know her. You might not know her.
Hi, I'm DJ Lipper. Thank you. First off, just want to say well done for Kellie-Jay for going to America and showing her what could be done. It is Mother's Day today. Might be aware of that. And I would like to. I've got a poem for my birthing body, also known as Mum. And I'm really bad for Mothering Sunday. I'll put my hand up and say I don't always remember it. Maybe last minute try and send some bouquets or something, and it's not because I don't care. It's just because I'm a terrible daughter. But I wanted to write a poem to my mother to say a little bit about the sentiments behind, mothers, I suppose. So here it goes. Dear Mum, I am sorry that I nearly forgot again that day, the last Sunday of March, that corporate exercise to sell bouquets and chocolate flavoured hearts. I am sorry that I forget to remember you every day, like when I was a girl who made you gifts and all my art you put upon the fridge, to To lie awake at night when you were working, wondering if you would ever come home, and you always did. Your hug smelling of cold and the Saab car smell of Body Shop white musk. I am sorry that I don't need you the same way, but I carry you inside instead, like a shadow, a furrow, a path that leads like a thread, from me to you, to your mother's web and back again, to the daughters of your sons, and thus it begins again. To the daughters who forget this cheap holiday that does not convey the thread that links the daughters to the mothers every day. Exactly. That one's to my mum, who I think she's like a real role model of mine. I'm sure, like most of you, a great example, being a single mother, of how you can do basically anything. My mum's brilliant, so yeah, that's a little message.
Really cold.
It is really cold.
I'm Louise from Sheffield, otherwise known as Yorkshire Turf, if anybody's on Getter, where I'm really fucking rude, really fucking sweary, and I'm really aggressive. I'm enraged all the time. So what I want to tell you is, this is for any women out there at home, sat at home shitting yourselves, absolutely terrified. We've all been there. I walk around my local area. Nobody's got fuck all to say to me, nothing. And I've got my big red turf bag, t-shirt, hat on, job lot, sticker in broad daylight. I couldn't give a shit, man. So, that's right. A reason I do it is because people stop me and say thank you. Them same people that are really scared need to see active out there turfs like me. So, feel free to stop me anytime in the street, have a chat, hit me up, I'll give you my number, we can meet up, all sorts. Brilliant, really love that. Also, for them trannies in my local neighbourhood, what disappear when they see me, melt like a fucking ball of wax. Tears, pathetic little wankers, big 6'5" arseholes just burst into tears as you walk past, I swear. I've never felt power like it. And it's only making me worse. So now, this is what's happening now. I walk down the street, I get side-eye, I'm coming for you. I'm a fucking ruin you. So what I say to you trannies is, come on little pussies, come fuck with me, because I will fucking rip you apart.
Can I just make a special announcement to the trans activists that clipped bits from my everything I do? They clip a bit, and normally they clip a bit and they go, look at this awful person. I think, oh, that was quite a good bit, thanks.
Clip me up! Clip me up!
It's Louise Sheffield. She's from Sheffield. And this is Speaker's Corner, and when she says she's going to shred or whatever, she means verbally, and she means shred feelings with messages on t-shirts. So yeah, next, would you like to? Yeah, I'm just doing this for the sound.
Hi. I'm absolutely freezing.
Can you come a bit closer so everybody can definitely hear you at home?
I've got lots of pages because I haven't got my reading glasses on and I've got big print, so. No, I think it's broken. I'll speak louder. Okay, my name is Isla Mack and I'm part of Kellie-Jay's Resistance. So, I'm not sure I can follow you. So I would say, I'm sort of talking, obviously some of us communicate via Twitter and some of us communicate in the big bad world, so I'm talking at cross purposes here, but obviously some of what's gone on in the last month or so has been, so we run a lot of interference and there's a lot of demands for witch burning and dunking, and it's quite difficult to stay on task sometimes, and I appreciate that the people here today are very experienced with these matters, so forgive my explaining because obviously some of the people watching on the internet may not know and be as experienced as you, and you might find some of the points that I make a little bit biting. First of all, I want to say thank you to every one of you, and especially Kellie-Jay, who is our very own international treasure. I'm very proud to be part of your little part of the resistance, Kelly. And I especially want to celebrate all women today. The campaigners, the protesters, the sticker women, the letter writers, the brave hearts, the leafleters, the joke makers, but especially the bad women.
Yes.
I've always had a penchant for bad women, the ones not being nice, so I absolutely adored your little thing. The ones not being docile, not being kind, the direct ones, the cheeky ones, the blunt ones. They're role modelling the truth. They are the compass through the storm. They are teaching our daughters to be fearless. So as a feminist who does believe in lifting up women and standing by women, even the ones that I don't like, I am feeling a bit challenged at the moment. I'm challenged about some of the ones who threaten to report women, and also the men who choose to verbalise their righteous indignation with men in women face when they try to violate our safe spaces. The ones that also report women for misgendering in order to get their accounts suspended. So I wanted to mention intellectual grandstanding and feeling scared to raise your voice against some of the big accounts on Twitter. Because Twitter is important because we learn a lot of information from each other on the news there. And I wanted to tie this in with the bad girls holding the line and why they are so troublesome. Let's think about being duped into this genderist cult, the language of the cult. Some people have, I believe, been brainwashed and/or chosen through friendships or the desire for fame or political capital to go along with it. Much discussions are had about language policing and why they afford social niceties to people that they like. I can't give these people my money or my respect. I believe it's meteoric grooming. And if you step back, you can see this strategic operation to implement the acceptance of men, male fetishes, pornography, money, power. It is patriarchy on overdrive. Let's think for a moment how quickly this language has been accepted as normal. The words gender identity, transgender, these men are basically making a meaningful transition, which basically means meet Jenga. In medicine, there is no meaningful transition. It is a lie. You are a lifelong medical patient. Men have inserted themselves into everything, not only to infiltrate, but also to garner love, adoration, and to steer the narrative in exactly the direction they wish it to be. It is a brilliantly executed plan, globally, but also locally by people that we know. This week, a male AGP talked of his fetish as a normal male heterosexuality turned inward. This is one of the goals. It is narc behaviour. People are being hoodwinked and surreptitiously groomed to accept fetishes as everyday things. By telling you that they know they can't change sex, they are wearing woman body, they deserve the Golden Globe Award for gaslighting. Now I dispute the needs to have these allies, and that I am a purist and that I need to learn from them in order to better understand and to win our rights and spaces back. I have been alive long enough to remember life before this nonsense. Men are colonising our words, our spaces, our sports and our lives. They have garnered more legal protections, and it is the ultimate act of power and female oppression. And yet we still see the grandstanding of top-table GCs separating out the legitimate versus the illegitimate voices, splitting the women. The bad girls versus the good girls, and I'm really, really upset about it. The illegitimate voices are called extremists, trolls, and worse than TRAs. And we're just women saying no. It is a complete sentence. And no, you can't stand by AGPs and trans widows at the same time. And I'm choosing women. Now, this is going to annoy some people, but I'm just going to say it. This week, GenSped used us as leverage to legitimise themselves. In a Times article discussing their recent rejection from a Great Ormond Street the psychiatric training conference, they said they would have centred moderate and well-informed voices, and unfortunately, this is their words, still in quote, unfortunately there are extremists who deny the suffering gender dysphoria can cause, and they mock, berate and humiliate and dehumanise people. So basically, again, they said the bad girls and the good girls, and we're the good girls, right? And I'm not having it anymore. The sad news, right? We are informed people, and the sad news for them is that amongst these extremists, right, saying no, is that we are doctors, we are psychiatrists, we are academics, we are teachers, we are women with knowledge and experience and insight, and we are informed. We're just saying no, okay? We are paying for campaigns, and we are lobbying, and we are writing letters, and we are doing the work, right? And I'm not going to be called a troll and a faceless person, okay, right? I'm here, I've come here today, so stop calling us just nonsense, right? All of you. Stop climbing over us, all right? I'm not having it. You're trying to cancel us, and you've been cancelled. What an irony. We need people on the streets campaigning, not over-analysing what we can learn from AGPs. Stop it, right? I've worked in sexual health for years as a clinician, and I never saw a plethora of people needing a meaningful transition. So I want to talk about single-sex spaces, because you know my background is in the NHS. I focus my work in this area because I've got 30 years experience in the NHS, and it pains me greatly to see women having to share their trauma, to tell stories of rape, miscarriage, abuse, terror in order to ask for safe spaces. It breaks my heart, okay? Last week we learned of this terrible case of this woman who was gaslit by the NHS after being raped on a ward by a man afforded the title of trans woman. For shame. This use of pronouns and titles by the ward staff, the police and the hospital management was a result of the now famous Annex B delivering same-sex accommodation policy, which you will all probably be very familiar with. They lied and deceived that poor woman and said that no man was present, so the rape could not have happened. I actually peeked my taxi driver on the way here. Oh, no way. Okay. Until the CCTV evidence turned up. So that woman, poor woman, was pushed to a mental breaking point, okay? And obviously the process is still ongoing now. And then we had this other woman who reported a man on a ward, and I believe she was similarly gaslit by ward staff and had an expedited discharge despite her being very clinically unwell. She suffered a public humiliation on Twitter, you may know who I'm talking about, and by a member of the House of Lords, not our lovely Baroness, another Lord, to which she ended up deleting her account. She probably was terribly distraught, but I am pleased to say she has returned, thankfully, and bless her. And she also believes that she was a victim of this NHS gaslighting. Now, Baroness Nicholson has another 6 cases that she thinks that also fit into this situation and that she's looking at. She's also put forward, you may be aware, Amendment 184ZBA, which asks for this Annex B guidance to be completely withdrawn. Now, 3 reviews are being undertaken by the NHS. However, sadly, they are being undertaken by gender ideologues. Okay, so that's not so good news. But and women have so far not been invited to give evidence, mostly because the male MPs and doctors running the show have trans siblings and children. But that's another talk, so I won't take up any more time. But I did want to say that Sex Matters are trying to intervene on this matter.
Yes.
The other thing is Still Tish on Twitter is very good on this, and so is Feminist Claire on YouTube. She follows this keenly if you want to get some more information. So finally, we are trying to get the general public to understand what we stand for, and lack of clear language, concessions, comfort pronouns, platforming people who imitate us, makes us incoherent, it weakens our message, and it doesn't stand up to even basic scrutiny by common sense, never mind scholarly inquiry. The bad girls, we are real people paying the money, supporting the campaigns, doing the work, lobbying and all that stuff. We don't want to be put down anymore, right? We believe that the way to get this destructive and pervasive propaganda terminated is through reality-based, everyday, accessible language that everyone can get behind. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are you all right? Hold on.
Hi everyone, my name's Shay. I travelled here today from Belfast in Northern Ireland. I just wanted to come just to talk a wee bit about what's kind of going on in Northern Ireland. I don't know if anybody from Northern Ireland's ever been over before, but the only women's hostel, the only female-only hostel in the whole of Northern Ireland is due to close. This means that all of the women that are in the hostel are being moved to mixed sex facilities.
Trans women are men!
Only me that that would happen to, I swear. But yes, sorry, I'll just pick up where I left off there. So this means that all of the vulnerable women who are in this hostel are being moved to mixed sex facilities. This is in a country with the highest rate of domestic violence murders in Europe, tied only with Romania. This means that any woman who is suffering from domestic violence basically has to choose whether or not she wants to stay at home with one violent man or go to a hostel with multiple violent men. As you're probably all aware, the reproductive rights in Northern Ireland are so much, so far behind the rest of the UK, and feminists have been fighting for decades, and suddenly overnight we were told we were no longer allowed to say that it's a women's rights issue. We were told to say pregnant people instead of pregnant women. I just want to say to all of the woke politicians, particularly in the Alliance Party, that men cannot get pregnant, and no man has ever been arrested in Northern Ireland for getting an abortion. Women have. This is a women's rights issue. And I used to vote for Alliance, but I never will again. But I just want to say, if you can't respect my sex, don't expect my ex.
I predicted a sunny day. I've dressed inappropriately. Anybody else got something to say? Come on. Oh, I'm so sorry. After.
Oh, God, it's cold. Right, as many of the women have said earlier today, it's Mothering Sunday here in the UK. And my mother's name is Elizabeth. And my mother has a daughter called Mary. When I was quite young, my mother said to me, Mary, I have a name, you know. I'm not just Mary's mum or Joe's wife. I have a name. And she used to have this habit of, when she was driving me to school, she'd park up, put the handbrake on, and she'd turn to me. And this particular time she said, Mary, if ever the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, get out of there. She taught me to trust my instincts. She gave me my moral compass. She socialized me. She taught me many, many things. And particularly that women, although mothers obviously is great, women have names. And although probably it should be said every day, certainly today on Mothering Sunday, I want to say her name and to say thank you, Elizabeth, my mother, for everything you did. So today of all days, say your mother's name.
Anybody else? Because it's yes. I'm so sorry. Just because you're at the side eye.
My dog may be part of it.
Well, it's all about the dogs.
Okay, so I'm Sister Realista on Twitter, and I wrote a very short poem for today and also for the Women's Rights Network, their campaign today of What is a Mother. So it's for that and it's for this. And there's a tiny bit of audience participation. There's an acronym beginning with W that we all got to know during the Maya trial. Warriors. Right. So when I say we'll shout, that's when you come in with warriors. Okay. So it's called What is a Mother? Twitter tries to limit the so-called wrong thinkers. They want to dismiss, silence, and sink us. The more they oppress, the more we get mad. Condemn our beliefs and will shout, warriors! What is a mother should not need to be trending. Why does basic biology require defending? But here we are resisting all the dissension, for necessity is the mother of invention. So watch us rise up with our grassroots campaigns to ensure the proper definition of a woman remains.
Anyone else? Yes. I'm so cold. It's not working.
Okay.
So if you just stand nicely here and loud.
Trying to sound nicely and loud. Okay. Okay. My name's Judith. I'm from an organisation called Woman Is This. Now you might remember, some of you, that a few months ago we conducted a survey, which many of you would have filled in, and it was talking about trying to find out the impact on women's mental health from actually fighting this gender nonsense. It's just say we haven't forgotten you. We're looking through it now, and look out for the results in the next few months. Hopefully weeks and months. It should be out fairly soon, and the results they speak volumes, really. It's very interesting. So thanks very much.
Come to Speaker's Corner, there's a regular that comes and she makes brownies. And I've got one in my mouth. Anyone else? Yes. I thought you were chasing that man. If you come and stand quite near to the camera. Yeah, thank you very much.
Hi, thanks for listening to me. On Mother's Day, I just want to share something that my mother told me when I was very young. It was quite a long time ago. She said, "You are so lucky to be born now," and that was in 1962. I will admit that. She said this to me on more than one occasion. She said, you can have a go at anything that you want to do. There are now no real limits. Yeah? She said it wasn't the same for her, and it definitely wasn't the same for her mother or her grandmother.
she was telling me that all those restrictions and difficulties were on their way out for women, and that we would be able to take a place in society as equals. We might not all be a success, but we were allowed to have a go at everything. And she wanted me to know that. And I look now at what's happened, and girls now are being told that if they want to do boy things, it's an indication that they're not actually girls. I compare that to the message that my mother got, which is, you are a girl, celebrate being a girl, go out and do whatever you want. It doesn't have to be girl things. And of course the same freedoms came in maybe a bit later for boys, that they didn't have to behave in a certain way and look a certain way, and that those great, really big penalties that there were for people who didn't conform were starting to dissipate. And I took it for granted. I was vaguely aware of the Equal Rights, Equal Pay Act. I kept hearing about women burning their bras, you know. There was a lot of stuff about bras coming into the 70s. And then you had the Women's Committee, the Greater London Council. There was spare rib. I didn't understand most of what was in spare rib. I still don't think I'd understand it now, to be honest. But it was all fizzing away, and I thought, yeah, we're on the way, you know, it's happened. And I look now at where we are now, it's just unbelievable that we've got to this point. And my activism is very individual. I'm in the Women's Rights Network because they're on Twitter. It's a really useful network for getting to know people, but I'm not a professional campaigner. I am a mother. I look at my daughter's generation and my heart breaks for them, really. That they're being fed, you know, they're being fed this. They're being told. I don't know if anybody's seen this. You know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I started a petition on change.org about the International Olympic Committee, about Hubbard. And that just went along very quietly for a long time, and then it started to get some traction, and then some journalists picked up on it. The next thing I know, when it went up 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, the signatures were flying in. Bang, gone. Change.org took it down. They sent me an email saying this is hate speech. And it was gone, you know, and I just think, how can they just do that to you? How can they just take your voice away? And all these other people, a lot of athletes had signed that. So I'm kind of in for the long term here, really.
Trans women are not women. Trans men are not men. To say that trans women are women and trans men are men goes against the whole idea of celebrating diversity. How can you celebrate diversity if you can't talk about the differences? Hannah earlier was talking about how in Canada they don't have as much freedom anymore as we have here to speak up. So this is a message particularly for the men, and particularly for the gay men. Stand up, speak up, and talk sense and push back against this bullshit. You know, when you do it, it feels so good. So on Tuesday, I was at a talk at a gay men's event, and the person talking is a non-binary femme trans gay man.
What is that?
In other words, a woman! Here was a woman talking about what it's like to be a gay man. At a gay men's event, talking to a gay man. And on my way there, I thought, I'm gonna be all Kellie-Jay. She's a woman! She's a woman! And I watched Louise speak earlier and I thought, I wish I was that feisty. But when I saw her speak, I realized this is the flip side. We often talk about the AGPs, but this is the other side of it, where you have this tiny little thing, really skinny, very awkward, with ADHD and other things going on, utterly convinced that she's a gay man, and she's gone the whole hog in terms of what you can do surgery-wise. There's complications, so she has to go back for revision surgery, blah, blah, blah. The only thing that she's then has left to do is the erectile pump. And I'm like, that's not a dick. You're never gonna get a hard on. And I wanted to say, what you're gonna do, get a little pot of yogurt on the side, splash it in someone's face and say, yay, ejaculation. It's so profoundly tragic to me. And in the audience, there were gay men going, oh, stunning and brave, and all that kind of stuff. So at the end, I then spoke up and, well, I asked the question, and I wanted to go in like, bam. But then when I was there with her in the room, I just couldn't do it. I did ask questions, and I did say a gay man is a male homosexual. And that's when the organizer shut me up. And I said, look, if we can't talk about what a gay man is, if a gay man can't say that a gay man is a male homosexual in a place for gay men, then where can we? But he just went off on one and said to the speaker, I affirm you as a gay man, I accept you as you are. If that makes you happy, you are who you say you are. And to me, that's not kind. To me, that's cruel. It's dehumanizing, because by denying her womanhood, we're never going to understand the bigger picture of what's feeding into all these girls wanting to escape womanhood like a house on fire and wanting to somehow become men. We're never going to, it's like Dr. Julia Long said about men with magical lady feels, if we don't see them as men, we're never going to understand the rest of it. So afterwards, I spoke to 2 other gay guys, and I'm now involved with something called the Gay Men's Network, and I was wearing the t-shirt, Gay Men's Network. So they go, what is this? I say, we're a new advocacy group for gay men, and we're exclusive. And this is a word that, well, I hope we're all gonna use. I'm gonna use it so much, because all this inclusivity bullshit is just like pulling the wool over people's eyes. We are exclusive. Womanhood is exclusive. Sorry guys. Manhood is exclusive. Homosexuality is exclusive by definition and by nature. No imposters, no pretenders. Anyways, I was just online the other day, and this woman in America at the pool goes something about dogs and biologists. It gave me a little idea. Okay. So this is just something I just did on the way here. Don't know much about biology. Don't know much about psychology. Don't know much about science books. Queer theory is not a class I took. But I do know what a woman is. And if others would acknowledge this, what a wonderful world it would be.
Thank you. Right. Anybody else? Or shall I round up? I'm going to round up. Oh, would you like to speak?
One more, yeah.
Yes, that's very cold.
Hi, I'm Radfem on Twitter and Getter. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, it's very, very quickly. On Thursday, it's something called Trans Visibility Day. I don't know what the hell that is. We're doing AGP Awareness Day instead, so we want to counteract that. So if everybody can get on social media, spread the word, etc., that would be amazing.
Hashtag.
Hashtag AGP Awareness Day.
Okay. So, to be honest, going to America, I've sort of felt like the Americans must have felt joining in the war. Just like, I love the smell of chlorine in the morning. So, it was very successful, and I couldn't have done any of it without many of you
I see you wearing these beautiful things. I love that one. I see you wearing these lovely things. You say nice things. You put yourself out. You put your face out there. And that certainly gives me, on one hand, the courage to continue. On the other, the finances to afford the trip. And so it is with this that we will win. You ready? It is with the courage of truth that we can speak without fear that we will win. It is because we know a man is a man and we are not afraid to name him that we will win. And you know why else we're going to win? Because